Hey everyone, I am going to re-record this because these last 5 games, because the second half of the video, the big video that I did of all my top 10 games, was really choppy, and like I thought I would be able to use it and it was salvageable, but the more and more I watched it, the more and more I was just like, I don't like this. So let's just get to the games. Here's the top 5. Okay, number 5 is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, this game is pretty self-explanatory in that you probably know what you're going to get as soon as you look at the cover, as soon as you look at the back cover. If you've played the first game, then you know what this game is. It is very tight, well-designed platforming with charming visuals, why can't I say colorful? Colorful and really fun graphics with absolutely inspiring level design. I mean, I think with this game, the Super Mario Galaxy series these two games are great, and I think when you compare this with their other 3D Mario games, your Super Mario 64, Sunshine, which some people didn't really like, but I think is more of a retrospect didn't like. I mean, I enjoyed it while I played it. I think this game just clinches it. It just clinches it that Nintendo is the company to beat for quality platformers. I just think that they are the absolute best example of a game company that hits their platformers right every time. They know how to treat their franchises. I guess that's another way to put it. They know that when they're making a Mario game to batten down the hatches and to make a seriously inspiring and well done title. Some things that are new. I think this game is better than the first game, to be completely candid. I think I felt less. Um, what's a good way to put it? I felt maybe less attached to this game because I had already played the first. When the first one came out, it sort of blew me away by how good it was. But I think this game, if this game came out first, maybe would have hit me even harder because they had a lot of cool new things. There's some new power ups, for instance. There's Rock Mario and Cloud Mario. Those are cool power ups. There's the drill. There's this big drill that you carry that you can use to drill through levels, and those are some really cool levels. But I think the best addition, this guy right here, Yoshi. Um, in addition to adding his brand of cuteness, if I must, he also his levels are some of my favorite levels because he has his own set of power ups, and his levels oftentimes are very fast or fun. You can eat enemies and stuff like that. I think he was a great addition, sort of a no-brainer addition. Don't know why they didn't have him in the first game. The second player gets a little bit more of a fleshed out role if you decide to play with two people. He instead of just being a pointer, he plays this little orange Luma dude, Master Luma or something. I forget what they call it. It doesn't matter either way. Um, you know, it's pretty one-dimensional either way. You just get power ups. You can stop enemies for player one. But if you're really desperate to play alongside somebody, you can play player two in this game. Although other than that, it's just more of what you love. They streamlined the level select system, so it's a little less cumbersome. There's not really a hub world so much as there is like a level select screen, which I think is better. It gets you to the levels quicker, gets you to the meat of the game that you want. And I think this game is harder than the original. Some people actually seriously complain about the difficulty. I don't think it's complain worthy, but maybe I'm just more used to Mario games and their feel. So, Super Mario Galaxy 2, I can't really say too much more about it. I mean, it's a Mario game. I love Mario games, and I love the Galaxy series. I hope they keep making them, and I love to see what they come up with next. Good job, Nintendo. Okay, coming in at number 4. This game, I was surprised it made it this high, or I didn't expect it to be so good when I played it. And beat God of War 3, and that's Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Man, did I love this game. Let me just give you a little disclaimer first off. A few disclaimers. First of all, to those of you who say that it doesn't follow the Castlevania canon, and for that reason you aren't going to play the game, you are, first of all, narrow-minded. Second of all, you are missing out on a seriously fun-to-play title with absolutely stunning visuals and very good gameplay. Um, and a second disclaimer. You put this game in, and you play it, and the first 2 chapters of the game, which amounts to maybe around 2 hours, depends on how much of the bonus stuff you get and how quick you are at the levels, how good you are at this kind of game. Around 2 hours. The first 2 hours are maybe not so great, but once you get past those first 2 hours, and you get all of like the core parts of the gameplay, once you get light magic and shadow magic, the game really opens up and really becomes epic and hugely fun. A quick little story: you play Gabriel Belmont, and basically your wife is dead, and you're looking for these three pieces of this mask, which can be used to resurrect the dead, and you want to resurrect your wife. And you belong to this holy order, and it just so happens that the people who have the pieces of the mask are these Lords of Shadow. Um, and so you basically go through these. It kind of splits into three um, theaters. There's like the first theater, which is, I don't want to say theater. People aren't going to get that. That's kind of archaic terminology. Three sections. There's like the werewolf section, and then there's the Lord of Shadow with that. Then there's the vampires, and then there's the undead and the necromancers. And the gameplay is fairly consistent throughout, and the game, it kind of does these chapters, and there's 12 chapters, so the game is very long. It's 2 discs, way longer than God of War 3, a substantial time commitment, especially if you're playing on harder difficulty. I also think the game's pretty challenging, I guess. I played it on normal, and it wasn't like I could just close my eyes and button mash my way through. I think it's harder than God of War 3, and for that I think it's better. I think games that challenge you, the right kind of challenge, present you with a challenge that's difficult without being unfair. I think those games are better, and I kind of have been drawn more to games that are a little bit more difficult than just your plain old super easy games. That being said, I think Castlevania Lord of Shadow is definitely worth the effort that you'll put into it, definitely worth the time. You'll encounter some absolutely stunning visuals, some hugely awesome boss fights. This kind of game, it begs to be, it begs to evoke the whole like God of War but thing. And it is like God of War. We'll just go ahead and say it. But I put it above God of War on my list. I think it stuck with me more. It has more memorable characters, maybe a more memorable story, and I'm going to keep talking about the visuals because the game looks fantastic. And the gameplay is, you have a whip, essentially, that's really fast, and it feels like the Blade of Chaos. It's called the Combat Cross. And you combine it with light magic and shadow magic. Light magic, when you do damage with it, you gain health, and shadow magic does, extra damage. And you sort of use these in tandem, and it sort of buffers the gameplay and adds some depth to it and some strategy. And you are rewarded for scoring lots of hits without getting hit yourself with magic that you can continue to fuel your powerful attacks. And there's a cycle that plays with the gameplay that's very, very good. Let me just say, remember I said that Bioshock 2 had my second favorite gaming moment of 2010? This game has my favorite gaming moment of 2010. I was blown away by this. So you get to the end of the game. There's a twist, and then you get your last boss. Okay, and then you get credits. Well, last boss, final cutscene, credits. Stay for after the credits because there is another cutscene that has another twist that blows the lid off of the Castlevania franchise, and sort of makes you think about, there's a particular part of the Castlevania universe that's kind of not present throughout the course of the game. I hope I'm not revealing too much, but things will begin to make sense once you get near the end of get to this final cutscene of Castlevania. And I am so excited for what I guess Mercury Steam has planned for this franchise, where they're taking it. Castlevania has never successfully been a 3D game, but it finally has. It finally got the installment that it deserved. I love this game. You should play it, Castlevania fan or not. Coming in at number 3 is Mass Effect 2. BioWare, they just know how to put together a good game. They are the masters of storytelling. And I think that the Mass Effect trilogy, once the third game comes out, I think the Mass Effect will be recognized as their magnum opus. It is just a tour de force of storytelling and gameplay. And let me get into it here for you. So basically, I'm not going to get too much into the story of the first game, but this one starts out, just to give you a feel of how epic the game is. The main character, this guy right here, dies. You die at the beginning of the game, the very beginning of the game, first cutscene of the game. Your ship is destroyed and you die. And basically, you wake up in this bubble, basically, this sleep chamber, and this human elitist organization called Cerberus has basically spent 2 years and an untold amount of money resurrecting you because you're the only hope for humanity because of this new threat to the galaxy. And like right there off the bat, it's like the most epic game. You you die, they resurrect you because you're the only hope. And the gameplay, I mean, the story just goes from there, and it just escalates. You essentially, you get a new ship, you begin assembling your crew to go on this suicide mission, basically. And they call it the suicide mission because everybody can die. Actually, this guy can die, she can die, he can die. All your characters can die if you do things wrong. All my characters lived because I'm a bamf, I guess. Now, the gameplay, basically what they did is they took the first game and just stripped it clean of its hardcore RPG roots, which I think is a change for the better. The very, very rigorous and tedious stat building is gone. Managing umpteen amounts of equipment is gone. And Omnigel, all that stuff, all that menu surfing that the first game, that sort of bogged down the intense game action of the first game, is gone. It really feels more like a shooter this time around. You actually have ammo and stuff like that. But yeah, I think them sort of, it doesn't really feel so much like it's stripped down to its naked bones. It feels more like it's trimmed of fat and feels like a nice svelte experience that that I think is better than the first game by miles in terms of gameplay and story too. And let me say that the last boss is awesome, and that the tease for the next game, for the capper to the trilogy, really makes me not. It's going to be tough to wait till the end of this year. Although I'm guessing that Mass Effect 3 is probably not going to come out till 2012. They might push it, but that's just me. I'm kind of skeptic when it comes to that kind of thing. You know, the first Mass Effect I didn't get around to playing. It took me forever to get around to play. I don't even know why. You know, I think it was just a thing like I put the game in. I got it in 2007. Didn't play it for a while. I played it. Got a little bit into it. Like I was still in the Citadel. Lost interest. Well, it didn't really lost interest. It just got lost in the shuffle. And then I went back to it. I felt like I needed to start again, and so I got like the same spot back to the Citadel. Lost interest again, and finally I picked it up the first Mass Effect this year and decided I'm going to stick to it and play it through because this game is supposedly great, and it was. The first game is great, but I think the second game is better. As soon as I saw credits roll, as soon as the credits were done rolling in the first game, I popped in the second game, played it all the way down, and now I'm a big Mass Effect fan, and I'm glad I got into it because this game is very, very good. Very well told story. BioWare, they just don't really do too much wrong, really. So yeah, Mass Effect 2. Okay, here we go. These are the top 2 games of 2010.